to have a baseline. So the best way of doing it is to get with your coach and to go through some type of movement analysis, movement screen, movement or fitness examination. The premise of that should be designing it with your weaknesses in mind, and always, always, always trying to work on balancing out the body. Meaning, if I'm rounded shoulders, I definitely want to have posture be one of the, I guess, highlights of the program. It needs to be in there. I want to correct something within my body. I want to have better alignment. I want to have better position while I'm doing some of these things. So just to break them down real quick, when we look at the hinge, this would be like deadlift, an exercise that you see in the gym all the time, but it's really just bending movements. And can we bend while we keep our core tight? That's what we would want to see. And what does bending and hinging doing? This works mostly the back side of the body. It's going to work your hamstrings, it's going to work your hips and your glutes, it's going to work your low back and core, and it's going to work the upper body's posture. And that's why getting into position while we hinge is such a good thing. We don't want to have that rounded shoulder thing and then pick up a lot of weight. We're only going to make things worse if you have a postural distortion. And this is why I think doing a movement analysis or some type of movement screen is so important before you choose what type of workout is best for you.